Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidaram. We will do the invocation shloka. Antaryascha bahirvidotatimiram Jyotirmayam shashvatam Sthanam prapya virajate vinamatam Ajnanamunmulayan Pashyan vishwamapidamullasatiyo Vishwasya pare paraha Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Loka Gurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha. Okay. Anybody can chant from verses 1 to 9? Anybody would like to chant? I think we should take turns. I don't think it should just be me. Any volunteers? None? Okay, next week, Sapna, maybe you can be prepared to chant. And every week we take turns. Okay, this time I will chant verses 1 to 9. We will do together. Karturajnaya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam kriti mahodadhau patana karanam palama shashvatam gati nirodhakam ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam kaya vangmana karyamuttamam pujanam japash chintanam kramat jagata ishadi yukta sevanam ashtamurti bret deva pujanam uttamastavat uchamandataha Chittajam japa dhyanamuttamam ajadharaya srotasasamam saralachintanam viralatah param bhedabhavanat sohamityasau bhavana vida pavani mata bhavashunya sat Bhavasustitihi Bhavana Balat Bhaktiruttama. Okay. So we have completed the first 9 verses of Upadesha Sara. Upadesha Sara, the essence of the teaching. And in the first 9 verses, we saw very beautifully how it started with, there is a God. There is a God, and our actions don't only depend on us. We can be the contributor, but we are not the controller. So we can contribute to the world, but we cannot control the results. We can contribute by voting, but we cannot control who will win the election. So you and I are just contributors. That is our role. That is our part. It is important. It makes a difference. But it's also important to remember we're not the controller, because the controller depends on many, many variables, as we have seen. Then the second verse says this action is, it just brings you down. It really brings you down. Patana karanam. It's a cause for downfall because it brings us into bondage. But then the next verse says, no. If we do action and change the attitude, how? Ishwararpitam. dedicated to Ishvara, Nechaya Kritam, not desiring for the results, means Prasada Buddhi or Prasada Bhavana. So that's what it said so far. Then it went into Bhakti Sadhana, and we saw how Bhakti Sadhana is composed of Puja, Japa, Chintanam. And Puja is the grossest form. Then slowly it goes to Japa and then Chintanam. And we saw that in this Chintanam also there are different qualities of Chintanam. Chintanam or Dhyanam, there is what we call Virala Chintanam and there's Sarala. Virala means it's interrupted thinking, which all of us know. All of us know interrupted thinking when we think and then there's a distraction and we think there's a distraction. And with this Virala mind, nothing really happens. But the Sarala mind that can be very, very focused, that's what we have to aim for. And with that, all beauty, all efficiency, all glory comes out. So when we do our japa, what's happening is we are developing a sarala mind. And this is what many of us don't have. And as we do japa, we increase the saralata of our mind. So maybe I'm able to focus 5 minutes, but later on I'll find 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, and we just keep pushing till the mind develops that ability to focus. So we saw that there's Virala and Sarala. Then after that, we saw that not only is there different qualities of Dhyanam, but the object is also different, or what we contemplate on. We can contemplate with a difference, Bheda Bhavana, or without a difference, Abheda Bhavana. Bheda Bhavana means I contemplate on Ishta Devata, I contemplate on a form of Bhagavan, Bhagavati, and I use that bhava and I contemplate on that, which is a very, very beautiful thing because many of us cannot contemplate on the formless. It becomes very difficult. So we start with Bheda Bhavana. But we must not forget that this is also something to be transcended when we are ready. How do we know we are ready? The mind will automatically seek it, So don't think that I will now contemplate on the formless. It doesn't work like that. The mind will automatically seek to be in the formless when it becomes single pointed and when it becomes quiet. Until then, develop that mind. So then we go to Abheda Bhavana. When the mind becomes mature, Abheda Bhavana. Contemplating without a difference means Saha Aham Iti. This I am or that I am. So I am that, I am pure awareness, I am pure consciousness. Contemplate that way. Then what happens once we start contemplating that way? Bhavashunya. What happens is the thoughts become thoughtless. The total focus becomes absorption. And in that is what we call Bhakti Uttama, because it is abiding in the self. It's called the ultimate form of Bhakti. And so this is where we saw Karma, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti. Now, in the 10th verse, what Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi ji does is what we call Delhi Deepa Nyaya. Delhi Deepa Nyaya. Nyaya means maxim in Sanskrit, and there are many, many kinds of Nyayas. So this Delhi Deepa is like, Deepa, is a lamp, and Delhi is a threshold. So when you put a lamp in the threshold, let's say you open the door and you put a lamp there, it lights up this side of the room, and then it also lights up that side of the room, isn't it? So we call something Delhi Deepa Nyaya when you put it there and it lights up this side and it also lights up this side. So this particular verse number 10, it plays that role. In that, it gives the goal of all the paths. So far we have seen Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So it gives the goal of that. And we are yet to see Raja Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And it gives the goal of that. Okay? So now I will read verse number 10 and then you repeat after me. Ritstale mana swastatha kriya bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. Okay, together. Ritstale manah swastata kriya bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. So what is he saying here? The goal of all paths are being summarized. Rit sthale. Rit means heart. Sthala means place. So in the place of the heart, rit sthale. Manaha swasthata means swasthatha means abidance of the mind. Manaha means mind. Abidance of the mind in the heart is the goal of all paths. What are all the paths? Kriya. Kriya means karma yoga. Bhakti, bhakti yoga. The word yoga here means Raja Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Bodha means Jnana Yoga. And Nishchitam, it has been determined. So the goal of all these four paths, two of which we've already spoken about, is the abidance of the mind in the heart. Now, what is this abidance of the mind in the heart? What do you mean by all of this? So first we will see what does the heart mean, okay? Now, the heart means the core, the center. So sometimes you know how we say, tell me the core, tell me the essence, tell me what's it all about. So heart, when we think of heart, it's the core, it's the center. In this particular case, heart means self. That's Satchit Ananda. And the goal of all the paths is abidance of the mind in the self. This abidance of the mind in the self is also called moksha. Why is it called moksha? Because you see, what is the goal? It's not that we don't know. So many classes we've gone, so many Vedanta classes we've attended. We know, but we cannot abide, we cannot live. So just by knowing I am Brahman, I am pure awareness, that doesn't do anything except we have new vocabulary. That's all. But when the mind is able to abide in that knowledge, I am Brahman, I am pure awareness, that is called moksha. That is called abidance. And abidance, how does it show? How do you know someone is abiding in something? Someone is abiding in something when it manifests in their life, isn't it? So if I'm abiding in this knowledge that I am pure awareness, I'm pure consciousness, then I should be detached. I should be unaffected. If I am abiding in that, then I should be calm. I should be equipoise. But if that's not showing in my daily vyavahara or transactional life, that means there is no abidance. So abidance means that I'm actually able to manifest the knowledge, live the knowledge, and practice the knowledge. And that is the goal of all paths. And there are several degrees of abidance. So Akash asked a very nice question yesterday in one of our other classes. That after somebody's realized, how come the teacher tells them, stay in the teaching, stay in the teaching, keep your mind in the teaching, spend time in monam. Why does the teacher advise that? Because there are different levels of abidance. There is a very deep level of abidance like Swami Tapovan Maharaj, Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi ji. That level of abidance, they will never fall. That they can never fall. But there are those who maybe have just realized, have just begun to get deep in the path. In that, there may be a fall. Those who are just starting to abide, just getting the sense of it, there may be a fall there. And it is for those people that this advice is saying, stay in monam, connect to the knowledge, be there all the time. So there are different degrees of abidance. Now, why is this important? This is important because this is our goal. Whether we want it or not, whether we believe it or not, this is the goal of life. And in Chandogya Upanishad, I will read you a very nice verse, and then we can reflect on it. This comes in Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 6. It says, Sayatha Shakunihi Sutrena Prabaddaha Disham Disham Patitva Anyatra Ayatanam Alabdva Bandhanam Eva Upashrayate. First, I'll explain to you this part. Like a bird. Shakuni is a bird that's tied. It's prabadha. It's tied. And it's tied to something. Let's say a pole. Disham Disham Patitva. It is trying to go to different directions. It's tied to the pole and it's trying to go to different directions. It's trying to find a sense of peace, a sense of rest. But finally, it says, the only place of rest is that pole that I am tied to. As much as I try to go out, as much as I try to do things, as much as I try new adventures, and all of us want to try new adventures, I am just becoming more restless. And the only place of rest is where I am tied to. And in the same way, evam eva khalu somya tanmanaha disham disham patitva anyatra ayatanam alabdva pranameva upashrayate. Prana bandhana hi somya manaha iti. The same way, the mind tries to run away in different directions. Every day we are seeking something or the other. We want to do something or the other, we want to go somewhere or the other, and we become even more restless. The mind keeps going out and out and out. Finally, a point in time will come when the mind will abide in the self and it will find its place of rest. So, the goal of all of our lives, we will all agree, it is this supreme peace, it is this supreme bliss, it is this happiness. But we all know that it's inside, yet we go outside. And the more we go outside and outside and outside, the more we lose our efforts, our time to go within, where we will find that sense of peace. So if in our lives, let's say our goal is to have a good career, our goal is to make a certain amount of money, our goal is to be in a relationship, our goal is to travel here and there, go on a yatra. All of these goals are nothing but the reflection of wanting peace, of wanting joy, of wanting happiness. That's all it is. Hidden in that worldly material goal is the desire for peace, is the desire for supreme joy. It's there, but it's hidden in all of these worldly goals. And the more we pursue these worldly goals, we will find out that we're not satisfied. Isn't it funny that we've been living this life maybe 30 years, 30 plus years, or whatever, and we have never been fully satisfied? We've never been fully satisfied. Why? Because if we've been fully satisfied, then we would stop going out, stop pursuing the world for our happiness. But in all of our transactional world for the past 30 years, 20 years, whatever you call it, we have never been truly fulfilled. The minute we are fulfilled, we want something else. Like the minute you have a good meal, what do you want? Dessert. Ferrero Rocher. Isn't it? Yeah? So we've never been fulfilled. And the thing is, we still believe we're going to be fulfilled through this world. So that is the biggest joke. So what Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi Ji is saying to us in this verse is, listen, the goal of all paths is this abidance. Point number 1, is this your goal? Is this your goal? And if not, how can it even come into the radar? How can it even be my goal? And why am I having this challenge? What else do I seek in life? What else is it that I want? And point number 2, if we think that this is our goal. Let's say we have come to realize that moksha is my goal, right? Now, what does that mean as a seeker? It means that where is my disconnect in my life? If moksha is my goal, which is self-abidance, is there any disconnect towards my goal? Because all of our lives have to have this outlying purpose. Okay, so I'll make it maybe clearer a little bit. Moksha is my underlying purpose. Let's say underlying purpose. Therefore, when I have an underlying purpose in my life, all my goals, all my actions, all my thoughts have a place or a center to be aligned to. Once I have discovered, once I have understood that this is my purpose, then even my short-term goals will align with that purpose. Even my 4 or 5 year goal will align with that purpose when I have it. Now, as a seeker, if the next step is, if I know that this is my underlying purpose, let's say I'm convinced, is every portion of my life connected to it? So if self-abidance, if abidance in the self, if moksha is my underlying purpose in life, is everything connected to it? Or if it is not moksha, if it is just self-development, which is fine, we come down one level. If it is just self-development, is everything connected to it? So I examine now different aspects of my life. Examine aspects of my life for example, point number 1, my lifestyle. In my lifestyle, where be it my sleeping habits, my eating habits, my bathing habits, whatever habits I have in my particular lifestyle, is it connected to that purpose or is it disconnected? And if there is a disconnect, what is that disconnect? As a seeker, I must be very clear, what is that disconnect? Because if this is my purpose, then I need to be going here. But for some reason, I'm going there. And what is making me go there? I need to know. In relationships, same way. There will be some relationships that will connect with the purpose. Some will not. Some will not. And it's a very tough time in some cases because there's some friendships that we realize maybe it's not worth having this relationship. Maybe it's not worth putting effort into it because there's a disconnect. And sometimes in the beginning, people feel very weird when they come to Vedanta because they have no more friends. They have no more friends, they have no one to talk to, but then we find each other, no? Isn't it? So in relationships also, there will be a disconnect. Then we come to in our pursuits of, let's say, study or career or, work, whatever. Is there a connect or is it disconnect? Whatever my career path, whatever my study path, whatever I'm doing, is it exhausting my vasanas? Is it exhausting my, let's say I have the vasana for singing, is it exhausting it? If I have a vasana for poetry or writing, is it exhausting it? Or is it creating more and more vasana? What is it doing? Is there a connect or is there a disconnect? And finally, in my spiritual sadhana, is there a connect or is there a disconnect? So point number 1, when we look at this verse, is abidance, is moksha our goal? Point number 2, if it's not our goal, if it is our goal, point number 2, if it is our goal, where is the disconnect? What area in my life and what exactly is the disconnect? And number 3 is that all these different paths have a way of preparing us towards moksha. So we know that karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, they all purify the mind. Karma yoga is, I will be, as a seeker, practicing all of these paths. I'll practice all of it, but there will be one that is predominant for me. So karma, bhakti, raja yoga, they're mainly focused on preparation. So those who are very much inclined to service, karma yoga. Those are very much inclined to take up puja, japa, chintanam, bhakti yoga becomes predominant for them. Those who are very inclined to discipline, practice different asanas, pranayama, practice different types of concentration. Those who are very much into that will take up Raja Yoga. Then eventually all of that comes to Jnana Yoga, knowledge, which reveals the self, and then after that, abidance. So this is what is meant in this verse. Hritstale manaha swastatha kriya bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchita.